Hey Trailblazers.
You are a trailblazer.
So today I'm going to give you an in-depth overview of the Just Hike It app, as well as my thought process behind designing it the way I did. So how the app idea came about, one day I was out hiking out here in Washington, and I was thinking about, okay, what app can I go ahead and create?
Idea!
And so I was like, okay, I'm on a hike right now. Why not build a hiking app to track all the different trails I'm doing? You know, I could be able to track the distance. I could be able to track how long I did the trail for. Did I encounter any animals? What gear that I brought with me? So that's pretty much how the idea of creating this Just Hike It app using Salesforce. So the Just Hike It app is mobile available, so you could take this on the go.
He's gone mobile.
Keep track of your trails. But today we're going to be taking a look at the desktop version of the app. So taking a look here, when someone logs in, right now I'm logged in as a community manager dashboard, but let's go ahead and log in as another user. Let's log in as Indiana Jones here, just so you could get see what their homepage looks like. So when a user logs in, you're going to be able to see the different events that's on their calendar. Maybe they have a hike planned ahead of time and they wanted to log that. They could be able to see any tasks, you know, anything that's overdue, completed in the last 7 days, anything that was delegated to them, they'd be able to see that. Any recent records, maybe they want to look back at the last trail log they did, they'd be able to quickly access that record. And then there's also a chatter component here to see any conversations that they're a part of or anything they're following. And then there's this component here on this page. It's a weather component that I found on the AppExchange. I believe it's called Smart Weather. And so right now it's set up as the current location I'm at, and that's the weather that it is showing. And so let's go ahead and open up the trail object here. So the Just Hike It app has two custom objects. There's the trail object and also the trail logs custom object. So the trails object here, when you open it up, you'll see this list view. I'm just going to filter it as all records. And now it's showing me the different trails that were made.
Trail covered. Every known trail.
The trail rating that it's averaging. I could also, you know, order it. Maybe I want to see the top trails at the top here. And then we have the route type, the distance, the elevation gain, the trail address, of the city and state, and then this map URL. So this map URL is just the URL field that people could be able to add a link to that map. So let's say I wanted to see where Lover's Point was. I could just click right here and be able to access that map right away and see where exactly this trail is at. And so let's go ahead and take a look at one of the trails that were already created. Let's take a look at West Rim Trail, the Lava Point. So when you open this up, you'll be able to see the trail address, the distance, the elevation gain, the route type, and the trail rating right here in the highlights panel. And then you would be able to enter in the details of the trail. So there is an activities pick list here. So the reasoning behind this, so let's say you wanted to see what type of activities were available for each trail.
There's so much to do, so many things to see.
You know, maybe there was fishing or mountain biking, road biking, rock climbing, walking, backpacking, camping, hiking, trail running available at that trail. It would be helpful to know to help you out as you're planning your trip. And then right here we have a rich text field where you could upload photos of that trail. And then down here you could add the trail address. And the thing with trails is sometimes it doesn't have like a formal address. So that's why I added this geolocation field as well. And then there's a map URL, as I mentioned before, that, you know, so somebody could just easily click from that list view and be able to access a map to that trail. And so the other great thing with this geolocation field is it's actually tied to this weather component. So whatever information was entered there, it'll actually show you the weather of that geolocation.
Well, it's gonna be good.
Why I added this to the page is, somebody, let's say, we're interested in doing this West Rim Trail. They could go ahead and take a look at what the weather conditions are, help them plan out. Let's say it was raining that day, maybe they want to bring a poncho, maybe they want to bring an umbrella, maybe they just want to, bring different boots. So that's the reasoning behind having this weather component, which I thought is great to have. Other things you'll find on this page is there's an elevation comparison chart I added, just so you could kind of compare the elevation gain compared to other trails that were logged. So you can see the West Rim Trail to Lava Point here has the highest elevation of 6,272. And down here there's another line of the modified elevation gain. So on the trail logs page, which we'll show later on, you'll see that a user could add in a modified number in case the 6,272 was a different value. Maybe they wanted to do more elevation gain that day on that trail, or maybe less. So that would reflect that. Then you also have this chatter feed here, in case a user wants to interact with the hiking community, so they could, make a comment about the trail. They could add a poll about that trail, or even ask a question. Maybe you want to ask, are there any restroom facilities at this trail? And then somebody else could chime in. And then right over here, there's another tab for trail photos. So I was kind of toying with the different ideas about how people would be able to put photos. The great thing about using the rich text field is that it shows you a preview of that photo. This notes component was another idea I had. The great thing about notes is that you could actually relate it across multiple objects. So this person actually added this photo through one of their daily trail logs, and then they just related it back to that main trail. So that's the great thing about utilizing notes, is that you could be able to relate it across different objects. The downside is that there's no preview option. You would actually have to click on it and then this pop up. So looking over at the trail logs object now. So two ways that somebody could log a trail. They could do it, clicking here and clicking new trail log, or they could do it from the related list by just clicking down here, clicking new, and they would start typing in the different information. So let's put today's date, for instance. The naming convention for the trail logs, I'm sticking with the trail hike name dash the date. So let's do 3/14/23. And then the trail score, it's between 1 through 5. 1 being not so great, and then 5 being great. So let's say it was a 4 that day. And then associated hiker, this is blanked out, and I'll show you the reason why after this record is created. And then I'll also get into what these other additional hiker number 1, number 2 is. So let's go ahead. You could add your duration of your hike. So let's make sure we add today's date. And let's say we did it at 11 a.m. We did it for an hour. And then you could add the different trail conditions of today. So, today was pretty good. So it was pretty dry conditions. And trail traffic was light, heavy, moderate. I'd say, it was moderate afternoon time. Temperature, it looks like it was 43 degrees. If you had any animal encounters, you could click this box, and now this is available to you. And you could start logging the different animals that you saw. Let's say we saw a deer and maybe a lizard.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
And if you encountered any obstacles, maybe there was construction on the trail. Maybe a tree fell over. Tree fell, blocking the path. And then there's this stepped in poop checkbox, which I will talk about. And then, as I mentioned, you could enter in the modified distance or modified elevation gain if it was different from what's here in the trail object. Then you can log the different gear that you had. So let's say I brought my sunglasses and a water bottle. And so again, you can see that this associated hiker field is not editable. But if I save this, and then open up that trail log, you could see that the associated hiker field is now filled in by the user who made the record, which right now I am logged in as Indiana Jones, so that's why it's showing me as the associated hiker. And that is a flow that I created just so we could auto-populate it. For additional hiker number 1 and 2, there are lookup fields. And so if you had other people that hiked with you, you could add their name. So I'm going to, add my name here. And another thing is that these things have lookup filters. So, let's say I try typing in my name, and it actually would not come up. So the lookup filters on additional hiker number 1 and 2, well, number 1 is additional hiker number 1 should not be the same as associated hiker. And then additional hiker number 2, the criteria is that it cannot be the same name as the associated hiker or additional hiker number 1. And so let's say I typed in Bear, and Bear does come up because he's not hiker number 1 or the associated hiker. And so I'll go ahead and save that. And so since I gave this a trail score of 4, there is a formula and it was built in related to the trail score. And so, whatever number is here, it's going to correlate with the number of stars it's going to show here. So looking back at the trails, actually, you'll notice that the trails actually have this trail rating, but it does not show this trail score. And so let me go ahead and click here to go back to that object. So you notice there's no trail score field, but there's still a trail rating. So what's happening is there's a hidden field, trail score, that's on this trail object, and it's actually a roll-up summary. So it's taking the averages of the trail ratings from the trail logs here, and it's generating that number, and then it's just showing the average here of the trail rating. So that's a roll-up summary that was put in. All right, so going back to the trail log that we created. Another thing you'll notice on this page that it'll show you there's a tab here for trail photos. Add a little note here, happy trails, how many photos you want to save, you could upload them here.
Happy trails.
Again, you would just go new, and then you could click on this image thing and upload a photo from your computer or your phone. Another thing on the trail log here is that if I click edit, if I click on this or made this true, check this box, stepped in poop. Sometimes you're on a trail, you accidentally step in poop, or maybe the conditions are muddy.
Oh, my shoes are so muddy.
And you need to clean your boots. So since I click this, I'm gonna save the record. What it's gonna do, it's actually gonna trigger this flow. So this flow actually creates a task. It's going to assign a task to you that you need to clean your shoes, and it's going to be due for today. And then another thing that also pops up is this, oh no, looks like your shoes got a little dirty, don't forget to clean them real good before your next trek. So that flow actually, that's what it does. It triggers when either you stepped in poop, or actually if the trail conditions were muddy. So if I click on muddy, And as you can see, even though I changed it to muddy, and that's built into the flow, it's not. The flow is built where it's not going to create a duplicate task because the task is already created. So one of the other things that you'll find on this page here is that this chatter component. So you can see here that Indiana Jones chimed in that, why did it have to be snakes?
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
And then I went ahead and tagged Bear to make sure that he saw this comment, and you could see that Bear reacted with a laugh. So that's the other thing I was keeping in mind, is that I didn't want just a app for personal reasons. I also wanted to have some kind of community behind it as well. So that's why you'll see a lot of these features here of where people can interact with other hikers. Alright, so now I'm logged in as a community manager, and so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the homepage was built out for them. Let's click on home here, and you notice it's a little bit different setup. The main thing is being that there's this dashboard.
Wow! Look at this dashboard.
So this dashboard, I'm going to go ahead and open it up a little bit bigger. So you go ahead and take a look at the different components that's on here. So a lot of great data points for the community manager to know. Their goal is to get an overall feel of the hiking community that's on the Just Hike It app. So they want to know, the total distance hike all time, the number of hikes, the total trail elevation in feet, the total time spent hiking. So these are all time data points. But there's also this filter. Let's say they only wanted to focus on last week. Let's go ahead and click on last week, and it'll automatically update the data that's on this dashboard to reflect that. So you can see that only last week 2 hikes happened, total spent hiking was 105, and the total distance was 8.4. And let's try a different filter. Let's say this month.
Wow.
You see the data again changed, and it will just show me the data that's related to this month. So that's really great about these different filters. I'm going to switch it back to all time. So other components that you'll see on this dashboard, you'll see the total number of hikes per week. So you can kind of see the usage. The week of 219 to 225, it was at a pretty all-time high here of 4, and then it kind of just dwindled down. So that, as a community manager, I could say, okay, let me go back to the team. What can we do? Maybe we need to implement more marketing campaigns, so to get more people to start logging their trails in the app.
You're gonna pull this off. We need more people.
Also, another thing here, we have the most active hikers. So you can see that Indiana Jones and myself are the most active hikers utilizing the app, and then we have Bear here, who's hasn't logged in too much. And then we can see the top hiking trails. So this is based off that trail rating that's found on the trails object. You can see Lover's Point is averaging a 5. And then all these other ones have 4 stars, and then Red Frog Trail's averaging 3 trails. Just so you can kind of see the popular hiking trails that people like to go on. And then we have a trail elevation comparison chart here. Again, this is just comparing the different trails that were logged, and you can see that one trail is at only about 1,600 or so elevation gain compared to the West Rim Trail, which has a lot of elevation of 6,200 or so. And then there's this component right here, the stepped in poop. We have a little meter to say, okay, 5 people stepped in poop. And then just move me out of the way. And then we also have this component called the popular states to hike in. You can see that Washington is a pretty popular place to hike in. We have 7 trail logs, and then you could hover over different components here to see the Red Frog Trail was logged 4 times versus the Trillium Trail 3 times, and then Utah comes in second, and then Colorado and California are tied for third here. So let's go ahead and open up one of these reports. So I'm going to open up the trail elevation comparison report. And you'll notice that there's these different coloring components here. So pretty much I added some conditional formatting. So what this is going to tell you is that anything that is between 0 and less than 100 is going to be in the tan. And then anything that is 100 and 500 is going to be in the brown coloring. And then anything that's over 500 feet is going to be showing in this green coloring. So that's the conditional formatting that was built into this report, just so when you open it right away you can kind of see that. So there you have it. That is the Just Hiker app and the different features that were built into it. I hope you guys enjoyed the different things that are built in there. It's constantly growing as I come up with different ideas, but it was definitely fun to create as a project. Alright, till next time, Trailblazers.